So that's what gives you the benefits that you get in the country. So things like, if you've got a benefits or job seekers allowance, if you're eligible to that, then you get that. You get NHS access. So God forbid, if you're unwell and you need to go to hospital, you get everything for free, NHS access. You get, if you're yourself or you're pregnant or your partner are pregnant, then you can get maternity leave, maternity pay and paternity pay. And you get something called state pension. So state pension, everyone gets state pension. So this is, we're not talking here about just doctors or nurses, we're talking about everyone. So lawyer, businessmen, engineers, anyone who works for the government, everyone who pays into the national insurance contribution, they'll get a state pension. Okay, so that is a bit separate, a bit different from the next item, which says NHS pension. So NHS pension, obviously from the way it is just for the NHS, 9.3%, if it depending on what you're earning. Most of it will be 10%, depending if you're earning higher than that. So what is the NHS pension? If you look at it, well, actually, you know what? I've already had about £1,000 deducted from my salary already, and you want to take more money from me for NHS pension? No, thank you. To be honest, I'm actually not going to stay in the UK forever, so why should I pay into the pension? No, I want this money, thank you. I'm going to take this 284, and I don't need the NHS pension. So let's just talk about actually what is the NHS pension. So NHS pension is a money pot that you keep growing throughout the years. Now, first question you need to know, who pays into this money pot? So we already spoke about your 284 in this example. So 284, which is that employee. So you as an employee, you are employed. As an employee, you contribute with a 9.3% or 9.4 or whatever percentage you contribute with. And then your hospital, which is the employer, will contribute with almost double of what you put in. So if you put 284, they would put 568. Not only that, but actually the government will add probably equal to what you put in as well. So that's an extra money here. So what you actually get contributed in a month is not just the 284. You get about 1,136. That's quite a lot of money put in that you're going to miss out if you just decide to, I'm going to take out my £284. What happens at this time? You lose on these two. You don't get your hospital contribution, you don't get the government contribution either. So you just get, yeah, and even the 284, you're going to have to pay tax on that, which I'll show you in a minute. So the money keeps growing throughout the years. It goes through something called defined benefit scheme. It's quite a complex way, but actually it's basically an investment. What's happening? You keep putting all these money in, and then 1/54th of the year, you get the pension put into that. And then you get an extra 2% every year for inflation. And you get also an extra 1.5% yearly. So basically every year you invest, you're putting money into your pension, you're getting an extra 3.5% on that investment. That keeps growing and growing into your pot, which you can get at the age of 68. So you can basically keep growing that pot as much as you can, and again it goes into what you can get that money then. So it's quite valuable. It's a very good investment. And then the last thing about also with the tax part of it. So to pay tax, you get this. This is basically what you earned, and you pay. We said pay as you earn. So this is what you normally should pay. Normally they've got here a box called taxable pay. So taxable pay ideally should be equal to that green box there. But in this case here, if you do the calculation, it's actually less. The reason for this is because the pension. So here the calculation would be the total pension, the total pay that you get paid, and then to take away the pension first, and then that would be the taxable pay. And we already spoke about the tax anyway, so we know how important it is, because so it shows that you pay, you're earning less, so you pay tax on less money. So that's a very beneficial thing to do. Okay.